Here, Henry got a raise in his salary 2 years ago. He got a 30% raise 2 years ago. This year, he gets a 25% raise. So his new salary is $4,050 a month. So what was his old salary 2 years ago? Okay, so what we can do is we could do this in steps. So his salary last year is going to be we're going to say that that's our 100%, and the salary now is our 125%. So the 40/50 represents 125%. And we can just use that decimal multiplier then to work out the percentage last year. So in this case here, last year, I'm going to replace that with the 100%. Okay, and maybe I should make sure that's clear. So that's going to be last year compared to now. So my multiplier in this case is going to be, well, my multiplier going from top to bottom, okay, it's going to be a little bit, I could divide 100 by 125 and get our 80%, but I'm just going to use the percentage that's given to me. But I have to make sure that I know the direction. In this case is going down. So I want to go up. So I'm going to divide by 125%. So 40/50 divided by 125%, or 1.25, that gives us our last year is going to be 3240. Okay, so that's our last year's salary. 2 years ago salary. Okay, so how do we figure this out 2 years ago? So our 2 years ago salary is, we're going to say, is our 100% now. And our last year's salary now represents 130%. Okay, so that's based on our 30% raise. So this is last year. This is 2 years ago. And we know what we have last year. It's going to be 3240. And our 2 years ago is what we're actually looking for. So I can do this the same way. I have my decimal multiplier going from top to bottom. Again, make sure you're clear on the direction. That's going to be times going from top to bottom. I want to go from bottom to top, so I need to divide. So 3240 divided by 130%, or 1.3. My salary 2 years ago was $2,492 and about 30, we'll round that to 31 cents. So there it is. There's my original salary 2 years ago. Now this problem here, I did it in 2 steps. We worked it backwards 1 year, and then we worked it backwards another year. This problem also can be done as a multiplying problem. Now, if we understand how this works, then we can work this out, and we can see how it fits into our proportional equation. What we ended up doing was, from 2 years ago to last year, we multiplied by 130%, and from last year to this year, we multiplied by 125%. So the calculation looks like this. So the original amount multiplied by 130% the first year times 125% the second year, we end up with 40/50. So that's our layering our multiplication, layering our percentages in 2 steps. Now what we need to do is we need to solve for y. We need to undo this 30% increase and 125% increase. And we don't undo increases by subtraction. We're going to undo them by division. So I'm going to undo this 130% by dividing by 130%. And if you notice, that's what we did here. We divided by the 1.3 to get rid of that 130%. I also need to get rid of the 125%. Well, I need to get rid of that times with a divide. And notice that I'm just keeping this all as times and divide math. Makes it straightforward. I can cancel those out. And I'm going to divide by 130% and I'm going to divide by 125%. Well, although I did it in two steps here, dividing by 130%, dividing by 125%, we're doing those same two steps, but now we're just compressing this into one algebraic calculation. So we get 4050 divided by 1.3 divided by 1.25. We end up with the same answer of $2,492 and approximately 31 cents. And this is a more efficient way of doing this when we have this layered multiplication, or percent of percent. So these problems tend to be a little bit harder. So we need to do, if you want to do these in two steps, that's perfectly fine. But we can start being more efficient with this type of problem by doing this in one step like this, and this involves an algebraic solution. Lastly, here we have Alice, who's got initial salary of $4,900 a month. She got a 30% increase 2 years ago and then had 8% taken off. Well, I'm going to say that she had $4,900, and we're going to do this one as a multiplying problem. So she got 30%, she ended up with 130% of her original. So our decimal multiplier is going to be 1.3. That represents her 30% increase. Now, if she has 8% taken off, that represents a decrease. That decrease we can express as, let me highlight that here. That decrease of 8%, we need to figure out our decimal multiplier. Our decimal multiplier, if we take off 8%, our multiplier is going to be what's left over. We're going to end up with 92%, and there, that is my multiplier. We always want to use a multiplier of what's left over, okay, what we have at the end. We're going to end up with 130%. When we add 30%, we're going to end up with 92% when we take off 8%. So that the 8% is converted into a 92% multiplier. And then this will then calculate what we have at present. So I'm going to take 4,900 and times that by 1.3 and then times by 0.92. And that's going to give me $5,860.40. That's what her salary is presently.